From the grit of the Reeperbahn to the shine of the Volkspark Stadion, this isn't just football, this is politics, culture and rebellion all colliding in 90 minutes. Welcome to Hamburg, welcome to the derby. Let's dive straight in. This is a reaction video to the 112th, yeah, it's an epic number, I'll say that again, the 112th Hamburg derby. It's a fierce as fuck rivalry that's taken place across regional divisions, competitions of all shapes and sizes. The Zweite Bundesliga, which is the Bundesliga 2, and of course the holy grail that is the Bundesliga. Now, there hasn't been a Hamburg derby in the Bundesliga for 14 seasons. Last time it took place was in the 2010/11 season. The bragging rights on that day went to St. Pauli. They won 1-0. They were visitors to Hamburger Sportverein into the Volkspark Stadion, winning 1-0. Ruud van Nistelrooy, remember that name? He was up front for Hamburg on that occasion. Of course, there's been a 14-season gap because FC St. Pauli, well, they were relegated at the end of that 2010/11 season. Hamburg, meanwhile, Hamburger Sportverein remained in the Bundesliga until 2018 before they were relegated. So, of course, this, if you think about the whole context of it, this is the return of Hamburger Sportverein into the Bundesliga after a 7-year hiatus. Now, of course, they did have Kevin Keegan. Again, remember that name? Some of my more mature viewers will remember that name. He was a 2-time Ballon d'Or winner. Both come in while he was at Hamburg, because, of course, he managed to drag the club from the port city of Hamburg to the European Cup final. But they didn't have him to save them in this game, did they? No, they didn't. But again, this is the 112th Hamburg derby. It's in the Bundesliga. There hasn't been one for 14 seasons. It's the return of Hamburg into the Bundesliga, so the stage was very much set inside that Volkspark Stadion with 57 raucous thousand fans. Let's have a look at the two teams lined up. Starting with the home team in Hamburger Sportverein. They're managed, of course, by Merlin Polzin. Looks about 14. Definitely had a tough paper round with those ruddy cheeks. Merlin Rollins lined up his Hamburger Sportverein team in the 3-4-3. 3 at the back, again, as we discussed time and time again on this channel. 3 at the back is very much inspired by the Italian Catenaccio style of defending. Let's bolt that gate shut. Anyway, the goalkeeper is Portuguese Daniel Fernandez. That back 3 then of Torren Naringer. I'm going to butcher these names. Torren Naringer, El Fadil and Omari. The 4 in the midfield. On the left-hand side is Muheim. On the right is Giorgio Gokuzleshvili. Yeah, obviously he's from Georgia. All the G's. The 2 in the middle. Is Capaldo and Nicolas Remberg. Remember him? We remember him because last season he was playing for Holstein Kiel. And the 3 up front is Rossing on the left. It's Sahiti on the right. And one to look out for, because he's got a beautiful name, is Ransford Koningsdorfer. He's the main man in the attack for Hamburger Sportverein. Before we go any further, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because that way you'll be notified when we drop more videos right here on the German Football Spotlight channel. And also hit that like, because that way the algorithm will pick up more of our videos and it will be able to grow our audience. And that way we can all grow together. Danke. And for the visitors to the Volkspark Stadion, it's St. Pauli. St. Pauli, of course, managed by Alexander Blessing. And he was counting his blessings because, of course, he managed to keep St. Pauli in the Bundesliga last season. And actually, they had a remarkable defence. They conceded the second least amount of goals, a miserly defence, second least amount of goals in the Bundesliga after the eventual winners, FC Bayern Munich. And core to that defence, we've jumped around a little bit, Nikolai Vasil, by the way, he's in goal, the Bosnian and Herzegovinian. 8 clean sheets he kept last season, which is Yeah, let's clap that in. Again, 8 clean sheets out of a team that only conceded, 41, 42 goals last season? Like we said, it was the second miserliest defence in the Bundesliga. Core to that defence then is the captain playing the middle of a back three, a Catenaccio back three, Eric Smith, the Swede. To his right, it's Hulk Wall. He's got a superhero name, hasn't he? The big German. Hulkwall to his right, to his left. Oh, just will... Zwingala? That'll do. Zwingala, yeah. Anyway, that's your back three. The four across the middle, which technically is two wing backs. On the right, it's Piker. Don't tell him, Pike. It's Piker on the right. He came in from Poland, from Police, a team in Poland. Anyway, and then Louis Oppie, remember him? He was part of an Arminia Bielefeld team last season that went on this dreamy DFB Pokal run. They knocked out 4 Bundesliga teams, getting through to the final, and then got beat 4-2 by VfB Stuttgart. Anyway, there are your two wing backs. In the middle, it's the American James Sands. He's on a season-long loan. Actually was there last year, but it's been extended from New York Red Bulls, and he's playing alongside a guy whose name, Fujita, sounds like he's going to be Mexican. Is he Ecuadorian, Colombian? Is he from Panama? No, he's Japanese. And in the front three then, you've got a number 10 being played by Daniel Sinani. He's from Luxembourg. And again, Deutschland are going to come across Luxembourg and Daniel Sinani in their Group A World Cup qualifiers at some point in the foreseeable future. And the two up front then, we've got Mateus Pereira Lagi. He's Portuguese. He came in from Stade Brest from Ligue 1 in France, and he's playing up front alongside not Hootenanny, because of course that's a Jules Holland musical celebration on New Year's Eve. Not Hootenanny, it's Hootenadonji. He's from Burnley, of course. Burnley was once managed by the big Braymon Vanson company. Burnley promoted back under Scott Parkerball from the Championship, from the EFL Championship, into the English Premier League. So yeah, there's your St. Pauli team in a 3-4-3 formation. The 112th Hamburg derby was not won by Hamburger Sportsverein, not won by the home team. It was won by the visitors, St. Pauli, FC St. Pauli, managed by Alexander Blessing. Again, as we talked about, it feels like that balance of power in Hamburg, the bragging rights, the ability to tag different landmarks, different monuments, even the Volkspark Stadion. You can do that if you're brown, as in if you were... Don't cancel me. As if you... Because they're playing brown, don't they, St. Pauli? Anyway, don't cancel me. It feels like you can do that because, again, they came and they conquered. It took them a while, though. In fact, let's go through the events so we can talk about the key talking points. The goal came on the 19th minute from an unlikely source. It was from that guy that we can't pronounce, who's playing as a left back. Well, technically as one of the left-sided centre backs. I suppose he does have to cover left back because, of course, Louis Oppie does like to bomb up that left channel. It was a goal that effectively was a training ground routine. So you got Daniel Sinani from Luxembourg took the corner, but he played it short, and I would make an analogy between that and someone who's really bad at playing pool. You know, they come to the table, not quite sure what to do, and they sort of miss-hit, and the white ball trickles a little bit, and everyone laughs and probably goes, oh, fucking hell, mate, that's a foul. Or scratch it, you're from America, if you scratch the ball. Anyway, yeah, Daniel Sinani laid it off really, really short. The Portuguese Mateus Pereira Laga, he must have seen that. He came running round, whipped the ball in, and instinctively Adam Zwagila, we're just going to call him Gala. Anyway, can we get demonetised for that, Gonzo? Probably not. Anyway, Wigidala just instinctively stuck his right foot out, swung it at the ball, and even though there was a congested area, there was nothing that Daniel Hoyer Fernandez, the keeper from Hamburger Sportsverein, could do about it. It sails into the top of the net, and that's 1-0 at this point to the visitors, St. Pauli. After that first goal, there's some gorgeous interplay between the front three of St. Pauli. It involves Hootenanny, not Hootenanny, Hootenanny, who manages to split the entirety of the Hamburger Sportsverein team with this pass. Again, analogous to playing pool when you send that white ball up the other end of the table and manage to hot three balls, Munch Bunch yogurt style advert from the 80s at the same time. Yeah, splits the entirety of HSV's team with this pass. Gorgeous. The man that's picked it up is Mateus Pereira Lage. Quick look to his left-hand side. Sees Daniel Sonali running round. So diag pass, lays it off. He keeps running towards the box. Not many people at home, as they say. Not many people in that Hamburger Sportsverein defence at home. Daniel Sonali's advancing in. He cuts the ball back. It's a sweaty EAFC style cutback into the area. Lage running in. All he's got to do is put his foot on the end of it. He does that. Unfortunately, he sends the ball wide of Jose, whatever he's called. Fernandez sends the ball wide of the goal, and it's still the scoreline, still 1-0. But encouraging signs from St. Pauli because they're getting forward, despite the fact that there's 57,000 home fans cheering. Just by that, have a look on Ask Jeeves. Check out the choreo, the tifos, the banners and the flags, and it's a fantastic atmosphere, and therefore it's no surprise that this is a box office event. Anyway, at this point, it's still 1-0 to St. Pauli, the visitors. You still with me? Hopefully you are, because there's a huge talking point coming up, and there's a slight spoiler. It does involve VAR for the second consecutive game, by the way, featuring Hamburger Sportsverein. VAR has to interfere. So we pick up the action pretty much in the final third of the pitch that Hamburger Sportsverein are defending. It's a long ball, literally. It's an OG Crazy Gang Wimbledon style long ball from the Georgian that is Giorgio Gokoslovili. It's come right over the top, and that back three at St. Pauli that was so mighty last season, they've stepped up, but they've lost track of Ransdorf Koningsdorfer, who's seen the ball come over his head. He's broken through. You've now got a two-horse race of which Koningsdorfer is ahead. He's being chased by the captain of SC St. Pauli, the Swede Erik Smith. Koningsdorfer literally lets it bounce, and then just with one touch, it's a beautiful finish, cushioned right foot. He just guides the ball past Nicholas Vashil in goal for St. Pauli. Nothing he can do about it. And 57,000 fans of Hamburger Sportsverein go fucking mental because they believe that's their first goal they've scored in 7 seasons outside of the Bundesliga. They're back. It's their first goal because, of course, they didn't score in that previous game against Borussia Mönchengladbach, which, again, VAR did come and spoil the party. In that game, Yusuf Poulsen, remember him? The Great Dane, who they signed, HSV signed from RB Leipzig. He had a header that, unfortunately, was sort of tapped in by one of his colleagues, and of course if it had just left it, it looked like the trajectory of the ball on that occasion was bouncing into the net and that would have been a light gasp winner. Anyway, on this occasion, the goal that HSV think they've scored to close the game back to being 1-1 is chalked out for offside, and actually it's fucking tight as well. If you watch the lines on the pitch, Koningsdorfer is judged to be just slightly offside. So the game, again, the scoreline's changed and St. Pauli is still winning by this point, 1-0. 52-ish minutes, the Swiss Mario Mulheim drills, and I mean fucking drills a free kick through the FC St. Pauli wall, but Nikolai Vashil is alert enough to punch the ball up and it goes over his crossbar. All happens very fast. Again, it does say a lot about goalkeeper reaction times. Very analogous, I suppose, to playing cricket or baseball. Fractions of a second. Anyway, the dive and the timing of the dive is perfect because he manages to push that ball over for a corner kick to HSV. It doesn't go anywhere. doesn't come of anything, I should say. 1-0 becomes 2-0. That's on the hour mark, literally on the nose, 60 minutes. And it's such a simple goal in its implementation. It's a throw from Nikolai Vashil. Literally, he's on the right side of his 18-yard box. It's a throw to the left channel, picked up by the Japanese Fujita. He gets slightly fortunate because he's challenged by HSV player, but the ball sort of cannons back to him. So he's got it now basically inside of his stride. He looks up and he sees Hootenanny in space. It's a brilliant left-footed pass into the left channel. Hootenanny is running out after the ball. I don't know what possessed Daniel Hoyer Fernandez to come running out of his goal, but he does so, and that means now that Hootenanny's he's got a chance on goal. However, the angle by this point, because Fernandez is almost in a sort of Benny Hill style sketch running after him, the angle of the goal is getting tighter and tighter and tighter all the time, like something out of a movie. But somehow, credit to Hootenanny, he manages to wrap his left foot around it and he just squeezes the ball in between the inside post and the far post to make it 2-0. Honestly, go and check out that goal on AskGeez. It's brilliant. And again, so simple in its implementation. Keeper throws the ball out to one of your midfielders. Yeah, he gets a bit lucky because there's a break for him, but he's got the vision, this Fujita, to look up, to see his striking colleague, Hootenanny, in acres of space, sends that ball up front. Again, no one's really tracking the run at the back from HSV, but again, credit, I don't know what possessed Daniel Hoyer Fernandez to come running out Benny Hill style, but the angle of the goal, the finish is... yeah, it's sublime. And of course, at that point, it's 2-0 to the visiting team. All they've got to do really is lock this game down, turn yourselves into a back seven, just close the game down. But it's shithousery, some time wasted, playing for set pieces if you're playing Football Manager. Literally, just close this game down, take the bragging rights home with you. Another flashpoint comes in the 77th minute where the Georgian Gokozleshvili, he gets sent off for his second yellow card. His timing was slightly off, that's all. Looked slightly innocuous, and you're going to get that, right? Late into a game when these players, especially in a derby, fucking fierce derby like the Hamburg derby, right? Players are going to be putting themselves on the line, really, really going for it in tackles. It was tired. The timing was off. Looked innocuous, got a second in the car, but of course that did then open up a lot more space at the back for HSV. Merlin Paulsen's done the best that he can by making some substitutions to sort of plug some of those gaps, but I mean there was no further goals in the game as a bit of a spoiler. However, the likes of Louis Oppi were then able to get forward for St. Pauli. He was putting in just cross after tireless crosses into the box. There was an epic chance for the American James Sands with a volley that was a fantastic save from Fernandez, pushing it around his post. Again, he couldn't really see because there was a number of players in front of him. The goalkeeper was very unsighted. James Sands hits it like full on. It's a volley into the ground, but it's a good save by Fernandez. Saliakis on the right hand side, he's come on for Pike, for Pirka, and he's had a half volley shot again. Fernandez, strong wrists, blocking it, keeping it out. It didn't matter whatever HSV tried to throw forward, they were just getting pinned back and back and back and back, and in the end the game finishes 2-0. So in the 112th, yes, the 112th Hamburg derby, the bragging rights went to the visiting team. Quick look at the stats then. As you can see, the possession was edged only just, though, by the visiting team St. Pauli with 52%. They had 17 shots, of which 6 were on target. That's compared to 5, of which only 2 were on target for HSV. Of course, they did score through Ransdown Königsdorfer, but VAR adjudged it to be offside. 2 big chances created for St. Pauli, the visitors, 1 missed. Again, 1 big chance and 1 missed for the home team. In terms of corners, then it was 5 to St. Pauli, just the 2 to the home side, Hamburger Sportsverein. And then looking at individual performances, James Sands, the American, in the defensive midfield position for St. Pauli, 7.5 is very respectable. He played the full 90 minutes, had 2 shots of his own. One of those was that spectacular volley that was saved, as we talked about. 7 defensive contributions, 61 touches, 2 in the opponent's box, 3 passes into the final third, and then defensive wise, 6 tackles, 1 interception, 3 recoveries. That's a great effort from James Sands. And then it's Ransford Königsdorfer, the striker, 23, the Ghanaian. I'll say it now, I've got this feeling that he won't be at HSV next season because another team, be it someone like an FC Bayern Munich, that could be exclusive content, couldn't it? Anyway, that's our prediction, that this Koningsdorfer guy won't be at HSV next season because he'll be picked off by a bigger team, or a team probably with more money and bigger aspirations, probably a team that's playing in European football. Anyway, the 23-year-old Ghanaian striker, he played for 82 minutes, 2 shots, again, did score, but technically it didn't count because it was ruled out for offside. 31 touches, 4 in the opponent's box, 2 passes in the final third. Yeah, I can see that lad being bought by a bigger team. But from bigger teams to short-term dreams, the dreams of all 57,000 Hamburger Sportsverein fans were crushed because they lost the 112th Hamburg derby by 2-0 to their visitors from the other side, from the Reeperbahn in Hamburg, losing 2-0 to FC St. Pauli. Again, only 2 games played so far in a 34-game marathon season in the Bundesliga. But after 2 games, FC St. Pauli, well, they're inside the top half of the table. They're actually in 5th because they've drawn 1 and now they've won this game. That previous game that I mentioned, that draw, that's a game in which they came from 3-1 down against Borussia Dortmund to come back and draw 3-3. 2 goals in 4 crazy minutes. That resilience, that fighting spirit of St. Pauli being epitomised by Captain Fantastique in Eric Smith, the Swede. As for the hosts then in this 112th Hamburg derby, Hamburger Sportsverein, well, at least they've got a point on the board, right? That point came in a 0-0 away match, their first game back in the Bundesliga after a 7-season hiatus. That came away to Borussia Mönchengladbach. So there's 1 draw and a loss after 2 games. Again, it's a 34-game marathon, it's the Bundesliga. At least they've got a point, so they're not at the bottom of the table. Well, they are in 15th. And again, slight spoiler, we do have Hamburger Sportsverein staying in the Bundesliga come the end of the season. In terms of players to watch out as you go throughout this season, and we'll be calling them out as our ones to watch. Very impressed with Joel Shimbei Fujita. No, he's not from South America, he's Japanese. And also the striker from Hamburger Sportsverein, Ransdown Koningsdorfer. Yeah, look out for that guy. Anyway, this 112th derby in Hamburg ends with a win for the visitors. What do you think, people? It's got to be Thiago or someone like that. It's got to be a die-hard HSV fan that wants to drop me a comment, and you can do so down there in that comment section because, of course, it's got your name written all over it. If you have got this far in the video, thank you as ever. Thank you so much from Gonzo and I. We thank you from the bottom of our tiny crumpled hearts. The fact that you keep showing up time and time again, video after video. You show it with your eyeballs, with your likes and your comments. And of course, you can go one step further by liking and